Well, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, May the 13th in the year 2025, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. It is Mental Health Month, and the slogan for this month, for this 2025, is Turn Awareness into Action. The Turn Awareness into Action theme was chosen for 2025 with the goal of celebrating, quote, the progress we've made in recognizing the importance of mental health and challenging us to turn understanding into meaningful steps toward change. Turn awareness into action. That's the theme for this 2025. Just while I'm on it, in 2024, the theme was Where to Start. It was chosen for 2024 with the goal for anyone struggling with the pressures of today's world, feeling alone, or wondering if they can feel better. This is where you start. In 2023, the theme was Look Around, Look Within. Look Around, Look Within theme was chosen for 2023 with the goal of providing understanding and how an individual's environment impacts their mental health. Suggestions for making changes to improve and maintain mental well-being and how to seek help for mental health challenges. The theme for 2022 was to go back to basics, and the theme for 2021 was Tools to Thrive. Our G-List guest today it's our monthly roundtable with Mychal Walker, Barbara Wallace Edwards. Barbara Larkin was going to be here, but she's under the weather, and we really wish her to get well. And then Shawn Jones. Shawn does Got a Minute. She generally works behind the scenes of the show, but today she'll be out front and be part of the roundtable. So we look forward to Shawn's conversation as well as the other conversations that we will get. Our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl Inc. Let's catch up to Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm.
Okay, what happened? I don't know. We'll see.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized.
Something's wrong
Best
here.
Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossom, Emily Hedrick, and Shawn Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Best Girl continues to customize the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to our roundtable discussion and talk with Barbara Wallace Edwards, Mychal Walker, and our special roundtable guest today, our Got a Minute host, Shawn Jones. Shawn, if you're out there, we're going to let you start off this morning. Where are you? I don't see you anywhere. I guess we'll have to start back with that. Oh, she says she'd be right back. Barbara, you want to go ahead and start for us here?
I will. I'll get started. Good morning, everyone. How are you all this morning?
Doing well.
Good. Well, Thom and Mychal, I experienced the first for me this past weekend. I shared with you all last week that I was in the metro Atlanta area doing my grand auntie duties, babysitting for my niece and her family who was traveling. So I experienced my first earthquake on Saturday morning. I don't know if you all heard about the earthquake that actually the epicenter was in Tennessee near Knoxville, but it impacted Georgia, ports of Georgia, and South Carolina as well. So about 9 o'clock Saturday morning, still hadn't gotten out of bed, just kind of relaxing. And all of a sudden, the house started shaking. The bed was moving. The room was swaying. It was the most unusual feeling. It lasted only, they say, about 15 seconds, but it seemed like it lasted for over an hour. But it was the most it was just so weird to be there and feel the whole house moving, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And once I picked up my phone and saw what was happening, it was really strange. So I don't know, Tom. Of course, you spent some time in California. Did you ever experience an earthquake while you were there?
Twice. Yeah, twice.
Really? Okay. So you
After
know
college,
what I'm talking about. That was so weird.
I'm laying in my bed, and a big poster bed,
Right.
and all of a sudden the bed starts shaking.
Right.
And I wake up and I'm looking at the room and it's moving, and I say, "Oh, this is an earthquake."
I had no idea. I was not expecting anything like that in Georgia.
By the time I recognized it, it was over.
Right.
Yeah. And but there were two of them there while I was there, and nothing big, nothing serious. So not like before I got there, the big earthquake they had, I think in '94 with my cousins.
Right.
Talk about.
Yeah. I've experienced an earthquake. It was many, many years ago, back when I was in high school doing summer camp up in Birmingham, as a matter of fact.
Really? Okay.
Yes. It was a camp that we should take, say, underprivileged kids or what have you, up to Birmingham and spend like a week. And I was like a camp, I guess, a youth camp instructor, whatever.
Right.
And we were up on a mountain, an earthquake came through. I'm not sure where the epicenter was, but that was interesting. That reminds me, there's a song and a stanza that says, I felt the earth move under my feet.
Yes.
And the walls came crumbling down.
So that's all about the earthquake, huh? This was, like I said, it was something I'd never experienced before. So a first for me, but it was really, really strange. Yeah, to see the walls moving, the room shaking, the bed. I didn't know what was going on. So a first.
Yeah. Well, you knew. I knew to get up out the bed and run and get between the door things. And by the time I did that, it was over.
It was over. See, I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know it was an earthquake until after it was over with.
You guys talking about Mike? You mentioned something about songs. I listen to Sirius XM, and I listen to a lot of the 1970s music. And one of my favorite groups from the 70s is Steely Dan. And so the other day I was trying to figure out, how do you come up with a name like Steely Dan? Right. Do any of you guys know? Have you ever looked it up?
I know.
Steely Dan was named after, there's a writer, Burroughs, I think it was, who wrote this story. And in the story, there's a woman, and she has a sex toy that she used. And she names it Steely Dan.
You have got to be kidding me.
So they named themselves Steely Dan after the dildo.
You've never heard that story before.
Well, I know where that name came from now.
Yes.
You know, if I had done that, I don't think I would have told anybody.
I wouldn't have told anyone.
No.
I would just say that's a secret.
Yeah, right. Nobody needs to know.
Yeah, they did. So they named the group Steely Dan after the toy in the book.
And now that you've told everybody, people are going to be looking at him cross-eyed and sideways.
Well, he wrote it in the 50s, so he may not even be around. They may be looking at Steely Dan cross-eyed.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's hilarious. Tom, I know that you are a fan of the Kentucky Derby and the ponies and all of that type of stuff. And you know, we just had that recently. Did you know, though, that the winning jockey has been suspended for 2 games and fined $62,000 for misusing his crop in the race?
His what?
C-R-O-P, crop.
The whip that they use.
How did he misuse it?
He used it 8 times during the race. So evidently, it's only a certain number of times that you can use it. Doing it, Tom, you know more about it. Tell us about it.
You can only do 6. And that's why if you really watch it, when they're riding, when they'll take that thing and they'll show it to the horse. You don't hit him. He shows it to the horse, and that makes the horse, I guess, was used to getting hit. So he gets on out of there. I didn't know that till I saw that. But yeah, I saw that story you're talking about. But I researched it a couple of years ago because I was wondering why he kept bringing the whip up and he wasn't using it,
Right.
The crop.
Wow. So Mychal, they fined him and they suspended him for 2 races?
Yeah. $62,000 is the fine. And it was double because supposedly there was an infraction a couple months ago of the same thing.
Wow.
So they doubled this, and the 2 races I think that he's going to miss out. I think one of the purses is like $400,000, if not more. And he got a share of the winnings from the Kentucky Derby, which was over $1 million and something dollars.
Right.
So,
wow.
Then he gets 10%.
I'm surprised they didn't take the crown away from him and give it to the second place winner.
Well,
I guess that's a little too harsh.
That's a little bit far-fetched, I would think. It's not like it was steroids or anything like that. It's illegal, And like he said, he was trying to win the race. He couldn't keep up with how many times he used to.
Yeah, that's true.
How do you keep up with? Is that 4 or 5?
Right. I know. I get confused when I'm counting my exercise reps, so I know.
I think that guy probably figured, hey, I've lost count, but if I can win the race, then we'll settle it after that.
Yeah, that was smart.
What do they record it and play it back to him, or like how do they prove that he did it too many times?
Well, they record the race so they would go back and review the tape and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then some of those stewards, I think they call them, probably was monitoring it the whole time.
Yeah, sure.
But I tell you, it's probably the greatest event I ever been to. It's absolutely incredible.
Wow.
To go to the Derby. Especially,
did you have a mint julep up there with Gus Malzahn when you went?
We had mint juleps. We had everything. It was. I would love to go again, but I don't know if I could. If I would enjoy it, because we got to go at the highest class you could go. We were invited by somebody who had an inside, but it's great, man. It was absolutely incredible.
I hate that Barbara Larkin's not able to join us today. You mentioned she's out sick today, but her and her husband Thom went to the Kentucky Derby this year. So they talked about what an experience it was. I think it rained a lot, and so I don't know if they got the full opportunity to enjoy all of the festivities, but she talked about what an amazing event it was.
It is. It's an incredible event. That, and I tell you another. We went to, when Auburn had that good basketball team a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We went up to Kentucky, went to Rupp Arena, and a basketball game in Rupp Arena is more than a basketball game. It's an event, man.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. It really was. And that's when Kentucky had those guys. I think at least 3 of them are in the NBA now. Been in the NBA for a few years. But they were getting up and down that floor, man. It was great to watch. So anyway, Shawn, what do you got for us this morning?
Well, I have for you. Did everyone see all of the outfits from the Met Gala?
Yes.
When I tell you, I was so impressed of everybody. And one of the fashion designers, Law Roach, he's like the designer for Zendaya. So on, and I guess someone else has an outfit similar to hers. And he just was so shady. He's like, well, Zendaya had it first. It was so great.
Which one was your favorite outfit, Shawn? Because I loved them all.
I want to say Tiana Taylor.
Yeah,
I love hers. It was so tailored. It was so dramatic. The color was everything. And then there was a piece where they were speaking about her cane, and it was the top of a whiskey bottle or something.
Oh, wow.
And she joked around saying, hey, if I could put something in there, I would have put it in there, when she would have just put it across the floor. So it was great. I really enjoyed that.
I'm always amazed at all of the designs that they come up with, they're so unique, and yeah, they go way out for the Met Gala. And the theme this year was Black dandyisms.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was
Black
so
dandy.
cool. Black
dandy.
dandyism.
Mm-hmm.
Say the last part again, the second word.
Black dandyisms. So
Okay.
Black dandy, they said Black dandy.
I just saw where one of those Kardashians said she was afraid her boobs was gonna fall out of her dress. So that made me want to find the dress and look what was happening.
Oh man, Tom was on a roll this morning. You talking about sex toys and now. What's up, TG? How you doing?
Hey, they brought it up. I just told them the part I was interested in.
My man, TG.
That's what she said.
That time you didn't come up with that, did you?
No. She had influence on me.
I missed that part.
I didn't see that either.
I love it. Well, I have to say that it's kind of interesting how things go around and come around a little bit and how things turn. There used to be a show called As the World's Turn. Well, Shadur Sanders suffered humiliation during the draft process. Certain of us knew what the real deal was.
Right.
There was a narrative out there, and maybe he did not do well in an interview. And that would not be unusual for a young person who has not had the experience,
right,
or have not been coached.
Right.
Okay. I dare say that Barbara, Tom, Shawn, Big Money, you guys probably did pretty well on your first interview just because of your background and your training. But if Shadur had not been prepped on how to interview and how they interview when you go to the NFL, like some people are prepped, then you may not do as well. However, it turns out that in the first practice session, Shadur outdueled Dylan Gabriel. And the reporter has come up and said it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Now, what about all those people saying, well, maybe Shadur just wasn't that good? That was part of it. He didn't have a strong enough arm, And Tom and I talked about this. You have a guy playing on the worst offensive line, had no blocking,
I had
no
ever
running
seen.
game.
Worst offensive line I've ever seen.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
No running game to help take the pressure off, and only two wide receivers, and one of them played both ways.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yet he completed 70-something% of his passes, and he's not that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we knew what the narrative was all along, Mychal. They were just out to prove a point with Dion and his family, and I'm not even sure he did bad in his interviews. I mean, nobody can really point out that what he did bad. How he did bad.
He said he was arrogant, and that can be anything.
He was confident. There's a difference between arrogant and confidence.
You know how that goes. If somebody like me, if I'm confident, then I'm all of a sudden arrogant.
Right.
But other people can be confident. They're a leader.
Yeah,
he's got great self-esteem.
And Shadur has the #1 selling jersey for the Cleveland Browns.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
He has visited high schools and spoke to the kids, and the kids love him.
Right.
So I think it's backfired on him.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, think about now the quarterback for the Saints retired.
Right.
So that this man was going to retire before the draft. You don't retire after the draft.
Right.
You retire before the draft so the team can pick, a quarterback, a couple of quarterbacks in the draft. Right. So this was a rigged game, man. They didn't want this kid in there, and it looks like he's going to be fine. He'll end up probably being great. End up being like his dad.
Yeah,
and that's what scared him more than anything.
Right.
Yeah. And keeping in the same thing, they held the NBA draft last night. The Dallas
lottery. It was a lottery, right?
I mean, the NBA lottery. Yes. And the Dallas Maverick, it might as well be a draft. We know where Cooper
the man is going.
So it might as
we
well be
do.
a draft.
You're right.
I mean, even on the show, they started saying, well, Cooper Flagg is going to the Mavericks and stuff
Right.
and asking the Mavericks about it. But the point is, Nico, the general manager who got rid of Luka, he was totally eviscerated for being incompetent and not knowing what he's doing. And now they have the number one player, okay? The next Larry Bird. And you know what I mean by that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're going to pair him with AD, and they have 2 or 3 centers and Kyrie. Okay. And oh, by the way, they still have Klay Thompson, who has the purest shooter, purest jump shot, perfect form. Okay. Right. So how is Nico looking now?
Nico's looking pretty good right now.
Nico's looking great. And how the Lakers looking?
Terrible.
You know, and they gave that man, they really, it was beyond fairness the way they criticized Nico Harrison.
Right.
It was like, how can you be so harsh on him, man, for doing his job? And when the Lakers got to what were they in, the first round, second round of the playoffs, whatever they were, the things that they criticized what's his name for became to light. Yeah. And he couldn't get up and down the floor like everybody else. He doesn't play defense like everybody else. And which was one of the reasons, 2 of the reasons that they let him go. And they traded him. So I think Dallas has come out on top.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, Nico's looking like a real genius right now.
Yeah.
Well, they said last night that Nico had come out. I forget the word they used, and they said, "Well, I wouldn't go that far."
Of course, they wouldn't. I can give that black man credit for that.
Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, if he was somebody else, they'd be wanting to build a statue to him. The next greatest GM out there. You know.
Exactly.
Just drives me nuts.
I don't think Nico makes that trade without conferring with the owners.
Yeah.
Of
course.
President of the organization.
Right.
And not only that, the head coach was involved. Jason was involved.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, and like you said, you look at Luka Doncic, the Lakers, there's no more showtime, not even a fast break or assimilation of it, because they can't do a fast break. They can't
run it. Yeah.
No.
He can't get down the floor that fast.
He has to walk it down the floor all the time.
Right.
That's why he's ball dominant, because he has to play at his own pace and get everybody else to do so.
And I watched him, and he is ball dominant, which takes LeBron James out of the game.
Out the game, yes.
Because LeBron's waiting to see what he's going to do.
Right.
Yeah. You know? And adjusting his game to play with him.
Right. Right. So
it changed the whole dynamics of the Lakers team when he was added to the roster. So that I think that was a bad move on the Lakers' part.
I think the thing about the sports analyst world, so to speak, is they all copy each other. If you say it, then I say it, then Barbara says it, then Shawn says it, then this must be true, because we're all saying the same thing. You know?
You sound like the Trump playbook right now.
Oh, the man is going to get the free airplane. You don't take a free airplane, you stupid.
Yeah, well.
You take a free airplane, you got to pay $1 billion to get it retrofitted. That's stupid.
Now, what's stupid is he taking the plane. It's illegal to take it. You know, it's not even legal to take it. You can't take a gift from a foreign country when you're a government official. That's crazy.
Well, there's an exception.
What's that,
in this
Michael?
case?
What's the exception?
It's Trump. It's okay. All the rules go out the window, out the door. Yeah. Okay. Keep in mind now, he already has been convicted of 34 felonies or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're gonna say he can't take an airplane? Come on.
and this whole trip he's taken over to Saudi Arabia, and it's all personal. It's nothing.
It's all to enrich him.
Yes.
And you got a Supreme Court that made the rule that anything he does as president, he can't be prosecuted for.
Because it's in the lines of the duty of being president.
Yeah. So I wish I had, I wish I could do anything I wanted to and not worry about being prosecuted.
And be rewarded for it.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Speaking of being rewarded, the guy that leaked everything on the text messages that screwed up, that caused the big issue on Signal and stuff, he's now going to be Commerce Secretary or some crap now. What is he? He got promoted. Oh, he's going to be an ambassador is what it is. Wow. I think he's going to be, he's taking Nikki Haley's old job, UN ambassador.
Okay. Wow.
So how do you, once again, fail up the ladder?
Fail up.
Yeah, Michael, he's certainly not qualified for the job, but that's sort of the way they work. Trump last week nominated Casey Means to serve as Surgeon General of the United States. She never finished her surgical residency. She does not have an active medical license. So how can she be the Surgeon General? This lady she actually hawks dietary supplements and pseudoscientific treatments to her hundreds of thousands of followers. And that's who he has named Surgeon General of the U.S.
Well, while we're talking about one crook, let's talk about another one.
Okay.
What are they going to do with Diddy? Oh, Diddy. I mean, they after Diddy, boy.
Diddy never getting out of jail.
I saw that video where he was kicking that woman.
Yeah.
And he deserves to go to jail.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I thought it was just sex parties. It's like, well, why are you putting a man in jail for sex parties? But no. This man is sick.
He is really sick. And they said that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
the things he made his partners do, and all the people he hired for sex.
I bet there's quite a few of them out there in Los Angeles who ducking.
Yes.
Not just in Los Angeles. I think across the world. I think a lot of them are hiding and
come up. Don't come out of
that. Tom, did you go to some of the Diddy parties while you were out there?
I didn't go. I went to Alfred's parties. And
okay, that you were safe then.
You didn't go see Steely Dan, did you?
No. I think you're gonna be telling that story. Well, in the book is Steel Dan.
Okay.
That's what she called it.
That's worse. That's worse. Steel Dan is worse. I'd stick with Steely. People may not be able to figure it out.
Man, oh man, I tell you.
Gosh.
I didn't know much about the Diddy thing till my friend told me. He called me and we started talking about it. He sent me that video. Man.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think Diddy's ever going to get out of jail. The things he's done to these people, and again, people who are underage, a lot of women, people who he hired to perform sex functions, and it's all going to come out. And I think a lot of people's names are going to come out in this trial.
I think some names will come out. Mm-hmm. I think some names will come out, and that's why they're probably, hiring lawyers.
Oh yes, they better.
And they're fleeing the country.
Yes,
they're fleeing the country. They're out of there. Was it? Is it Russell Wilson? Not Russell Wilson. Is that him? He's over in Bali.
No, not Russell. You're talking about Russell Simmons.
Russell Simmons. That's it. I'm like, it's a Russell something.
Yeah, Russell Simmons.
I didn't know about that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And his name was mentioned a few times, and he's like, "No, I'm not guilty." So why did you up and fly over to Bali?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, actually, speaking of celebrities, do you guys watch what is it called, Baddies? It's similar to the Bad Girls Club.
No, I'm not watching it.
Okay, well, it's supposed to be an empowering show, but really it's just fighting and violence and all of this. But one of the cast members is currently on the radar because she made a distasteful comment about another cast member referring to her face like looking like Emmett Till. So there's like an actual petition to get her taken off of the show for making a mockery of Emmett Till.
Wow.
As well, it should be.
And rightly so.
That's very insensitive.
It is.
You know, a 15-year-old kid that lost his life because people decide to lie.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And if you've ever seen that photo of his face,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
they beat that kid. He was unrecognizable.
Yes.
Mother couldn't even recognize him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
So they're calling for her removal, and she made like a public apology and saying like how she's new to TV. And I'm like, okay,
Doesn't matter.
whether you're on TV or you're not, that is never okay. Like this is
That's
someone's
right.
son, this is someone's cousin. Like this was a human being. And
Right.
yeah, get her off of
How
there.
about being new to being considerate of people's
Right.
feelings?
Yes,
Right.
that too.
That shouldn't be new, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's Shawn, do you have a guy a minute for us?
I do.
You a star now. Can you
Yes.
want to go back to your old job?
I don't know. I think I like it here.
Let's let Shawn do got a minute, and then we'll come back with some more roundtable. Go ahead, Shawn. Emily, can you hit that up, please?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shawn Jones, and this is Got a Minute. I am here live in color and full effect, and I hope all of you had a great weekend and a great Mother's Day, a holiday in honor of mothers that's celebrated across the world. In its modern form, the holiday originated in the United States, and it was established by Anna Jarvis, who sought to honor her own mother. The first Mother's Day church service was held in 1908. The day became a national holiday 6 years later. It is observed on the second Sunday in May. Mother's Day is celebrated with cards and flowers and family dinners, along with other activities. For my mother, I started an annual tradition to where I take her wherever she wants to go for vacation. So my mom, for some reason, thinks that I'm rich and she likes to spend all of my money. But to be fair, she is worth it. So I hope all of you have a great week, and I hope all of you had an awesome Mother's Day. So thank you all for joining in. My name is Shawn Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Now do you guys understand why? Now you understand why I call her Big Money Shawn?
Absolutely. She's definitely big money, Shawn.
Hey, her mom knows the truth, huh?
There you go.
She wants to spend all of my best girl checks. And I'm like, well, you can't spend my checks. I need something for myself. And she's like, I'll worry about it later. If you're watching, I love you.
So, Michael, you been watching the NBA playoffs?
Yes, I've been checking it out, man. Must see TV. A little drama going on.
I didn't watch the game last night. How did it go?
Timberwolves won.
Okay.
Yeah, they're up 3-1 now.
And the Knicks won.
And
the Knicks won too? Okay.
I think the Knicks are in Boston's head.
I think it's in Boston's head as well, because they just don't seem to know. And to me, one of the faults with Boston is Boston's got a good team, but they wanted to be about Jason, whatever his name is, and Brown. They wanted just to be, well, they're the stars, but they don't need stars because they're a team.
Right.
And you look at Drew Holiday, you look at White, you look at those the guy who used to be with Atlanta, went to the University of Florida, they won national championship.
Al Horford.
Great team.
Yes.
But they insist that Tatum's supposed to take the last shot and all that stuff, and I just don't think that that's the winning formula. The Knicks got Brunson is hell, but they play as a team.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they're whipping the Celtics.
Everybody has their role, but going back to your point, Tom, about Jason Tatum, he's just not that guy. Okay. And what I mean by that, he has the skill set, but the guy for the last shot, here, you go get it, make it happen.
Right.
He's not a Michael Jordan. He's not a LeBron.
Right.
He's not a Kobe. He's not that guy.
I agree. and they want him to be that guy instead of, I mean, between he and Brown, White, the other guy, I can't think of his name. Man, anybody on that team could take the last shot if they got him open.
Right.
Work to get him open, but just to give it to him and let him stand up there out there and dribble and pat it, until he can work himself into a shot. I just don't think I think that's why they're losing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the main thing about it, he cannot really put it on the floor and go get it in crunch time when the lane is crowded. Now, if it's spread out, he can get to the hoop. But to go down, set up, and give it to him and say, "Go get me two, I gotta have it," he cannot do that.
Can't do
because he's too much of a finesse player. In his core, he's a finesse player. He's not a power player. One to say, "Hey, bring me that contact because I'm gonna dish some out." He's not that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so I think they're done.
Yeah. I tell you what, I gotta say, I like Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man. He's brash, he's bodacious, all of that. But that's what basketball is. That's what professional sports is. And I heard something on the radio the other day. I'm not really sure. I didn't get all of it, but somehow there was a conversation, and I came in on the tail end. So if I get some things wrong, but supposedly former President Barack Obama was at a game that Edwards at, and I think LeBron was there and somebody else. And I think Dr. J, somebody made a statement to like LeBron or somebody else to say, "Are you guys talking to that young guy? Like telling him to get himself in check."
Right.
Yeah, get in check mentally. And he overheard it. And supposedly he came up and said, "I'm the truth." "What do you mean talk to me? I'm the truth." And so they say LeBron came over and said, "Yeah, he the truth."
He is good. And he does want that last shot. He does, and he can get the last shot and get a good last shot, not a forced last shot.
Right. He's the type of power player that Michael was talking about.
Yes. He can go get it.
Right.
Good.
Yeah. And you feel good about him going to the hoop to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I also think the NBA has figured out the way to beat Denver, and that's to beat up the Joker. I mean, and SGA, man, he gets away with a lot of Michael Jordan stuff, because he dribble the ball and boom, knock the man out the way and then shoot the ball and then But it's been exciting, man. It's been very interesting. I've enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, that Pace of Cleveland series is something else, And Donovan's been hurt. Yeah.
Cleveland was the top team in the East, weren't they? Didn't they have the best record?
Yeah.
Man, they have just hurt them.
Yeah. And it's a problem when Donovan Mitchell goes out.
Yeah. So, anybody got? How are we doing? None of you guys are Catholic, are you? I'm Catholic.
No.
So we got a new pope.
Yes.
And it's been an interesting thing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The new pope, and he seems to be somebody that's reasonable. We hope so.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Why you say that?
That's a problem for some because he's reasonable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree with that. Go ahead. What do you got?
Well, let me ask you this: you being Catholic and him being appointed, how do you feel about claiming him as the first American pope? And that's what all the rage has been. He's a dual citizen, because he spent a lot of time in Peru and stuff. Right. He speaks 7 different languages, or how many, but at least here in Georgia, all I've heard is he's the first American pope that we have. So it's like they're claiming him as their own. And I get it, he was born here naturally, but he spent a lot of time in Peru, South America.
I agree.
So give me your perspective on that, being a Catholic.
I don't really have one other than, it never bothered me where the Pope was from.
Right.
never really mattered to me. He was the Pope. He was the Pope for all the Catholics in the world.
In the world, yes.
So it didn't really matter. So I had really, the only reason I thought about that is he's from Chicago and my wife's from Chicago. And so, you know, we talked about it from that perspective. But I just think if he, rules is not, it's certainly not the right word, but if he administers whatever he's going to do under his tenure, as long as it's fair and you know, recognizable around the world, I think he will be fine. And he seems to be a fair guy. I mean, he's going to have to deal with people. He's going to have to deal with the abortion issue. He's going to have to deal with all the issues that they come up with, you know, things like that. But, you know, hopefully he can do that. We went to see the movie, The Conclave, back in December, I think it was, and how they go about
selecting the Pope,
nominating, recognizing the new Pope. And, so that was interesting.
Right. And Tom, I read that he's from Chicago, but he has roots in New Orleans and even Haiti. You know, his I think his mother or someone has Creole background. So very interesting and diverse background.
Yeah.
Barbara, I'm glad you brought that up. It really am. I forgot about that. And yes, I am Church of Christ. Barbara Pitts asked if I was Church of Christ. So that's a real conservative religion. But I heard a person on the radio last week who's a very conservative talk host. And he was saying that this Pope fits the bill because of his ancestry. He has, as you say, Creole and stuff. So now they're trying to say he's a minority as well.
Yeah.
And this is coming from conservatives now.
Okay.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Now you want to claim this?
Now,
thing?
now they want to claim it, huh?
Yeah. So, you know, which is so, you don't know which way they're going.
Right.
Because your president has just decided that he's canceling Biden's high-speed internet bill for infrastructure from going to the rural areas saying it's racist. When did telecommunication ever become racist? Okay? Now, just think about this. Because it was the Digital Equal Access Act or something like that, because it had the term equal, in his mind, that means minority. Well, most of his base are rural people.
Right, exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Taking a step further, the lack of telecommunication infrastructure will cause the loss of life in a natural disaster, because we just went through that with the hurricanes and what have you, where people could not get the warnings and the sirens because they didn't have the internet.
Right.
They couldn't see what was going on the computer. So because of your insecurity, you want to cancel this infrastructure bill because Joe Biden did it.
Right.
And risk hurting all of these people.
All
It
these
just
people,
doesn't make sense.
all these people who have supported him. That's the crazy thing. Yeah, again, it's just pure ignorance. You talk about insecurities. I think there's a lot of ignorance involved in that too, Mychal.
I saw the other day that the majority of the people who have been hurt by his quote policies so far have been in red states.
Yeah, right.
Been people who are Republican,
right,
who voted for him,
right.
But that just shows you he doesn't give a you know what.
He never did. He never cared about those people, and he never will.
That's the shame that he would do that. I mean, people out there needing access to the internet. That's where everything's going. What can you do nowadays without the internet?
Well, he's getting rid of FEMA, which he says, okay, the states can take care of their own natural disasters. You know, so Katrina destroys New Orleans,
right?
And Louisiana's got to figure it out themselves. You know?
Yeah.
He's an idiot, man.
How people can still support him after those type of decisions is beyond me. No, it just again, when he's implementing policies that impact their lives in a negative way, and they still can say, "Oh, but I still support him." That's going against their
Greatest
own
trick
best
the
interest.
devil ever pulled was to convince people that he didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And I ain't saying he's the devil. That's just something that he brings to mind.
I'll go ahead and say it for you, Tom. He is.
Well, I find it interesting. His Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, came out and said that from now, all the admissions into the military schools are going to be based on merit. I find that ironic that somebody who didn't get the position as Secretary of Defense based on
Thank
merit, he now wants to implement merit.
Right.
How do you do that?
Right.
He doesn't even know merit if it walked up and slapped him in the face.
That entire cabinet that Trump has put together, they're not qualified. So they all got their jobs. It wasn't based on merit. It's because they knew him and they supported him and they've financially supported him. So
And they are loyal
to him. Yeah.
to a fault.
To a fault.
There they are.
And he's not loyal to anybody. He just kind of comes and goes and takes and leaves. And they're like, yeah, this is our guy. And he's been showing them who he was the whole time.
The entire time, Sean.
And they're just like, well, no, that can't be true. What do you mean? Of course it's true. He's been showing you.
And little Marco, he's working the hell out of little Marco. Four jobs.
Little Marco is probably the only one that's qualified that he's got up there.
Right. So he has to work him to death.
Oh,
I want to go back to Shadur Sanders for a minute. The thing that gets me about Shadur Sanders, and I read this article in the paper Sunday, written by this black columnist who quoted all the anonymous sources who had negative things to say about Shadur Sanders. Mm-hmm. The people who had positive things to say about Shadur Sanders allowed them to use their names.
Right.
The people who had negative things wanted to remain anonymous.
The cowards.
Why would you, as a reporter or as a legitimate columnist, print something that's anonymous,
right,
that really attacks somebody else's character?
Yeah.
And then it was, well, I ain't gonna even. It was a black man who did it. I ain't gonna call him a brother because obviously he wasn't.
Right.
I bet I know who it is, but I'll leave it alone. Is he fat?
You want to remain anonymous? Huh?
Is he fat? Is he fat?
Go ahead, call him out, Micah. Call him out.
I'm just saying.
That was pretty negative. That was pretty weak. If you're going to print it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, my folks told me to beware of people that will throw a rock and hide the hand. In other words. Okay.
There you go.
And that's what we're looking at. She also told me about the crab in the barrel mentality among our people.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that guy fits it, fat boy journalist, fits that.
Fat boy. Start calling him that.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. Do you watch, what's his name, Stephen A?
Oh, please.
Sometimes.
I don't watch him unless I'm watching a game and he happens to be on as a commentator.
Yeah, I don't watch the show. I watch clips on social media from time to time, but I've never watched the show.
Well, when I go to the barbershop, that's what they have on.
Okay.
And so I watch it then. But he's, man, he makes you want to throw up.
I scroll past him every chance I get. I know that, and apparently he debuted on SWV, Law and Order, and like,
really?
He's in
one of the, that's right. I saw that. Yeah.
So he's there for a moment, then like he's like on a live like a few minutes later. So it was very short lived. But I was like, okay. Fast forward.
He's a negative reflection on my profession. Let me put it that way.
Well
They
said.
had a thing with him walking down the street, and he was talking about people ask him if he has protection when he's out in public.
Wow.
And he said, of course he has protection, but you can't see him. He said, because I'm worth a lot of money to a lot of people. And so I have to be protected in some ways. And it's like, where did they find this Junebug?
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the little Junebugs, I call him.
Yeah, that's what he reminds me of, Tom, a little Junebug.
It's really
wants to be more important than they really are.
ESPN pays him $25 million
a year
Mighty.
to act a fool.
That's what he does.
We should get 25 million for Tuesdays with Tom, and she
right.
all of us.
Right. But it draws people, I guess, to watch the show. The more he acts a fool, the more people want to watch and see what he's going to do next. So it's all maybe it's a game. I hope it is, and that's not who he truly is. But he's I don't care.
I think that's definitely who he is.
Yeah.
I think that's who he is. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's who he is.
He likes himself, and he gives far more credit to himself than he's due.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you saying he has an overinflated value of self-worth?
Yes.
That's a nice way to put it, Mychal.
Now, Charles is self-deprecating. Charles makes fun of Charles.
Right.
Which is what has made him so successful to me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Charles says he's not giving money to NIL.
I don't blame Charles. Charles, he's giving his money to something that really matters. He's giving his money to HBCUs for merit scholarships, and he's giving it to communities, who need to be rebuilt. And so I applaud him for that. Yeah, I don't blame him. He said, he's not feeding into that. What did you call it? The craziness.
Yeah. Well, he also said, I love Auburn, but if you think I'm gonna return to being a poor black man that's broke, that ain't happening. So
I don't blame Charles.
I don't care how much money I have; it's not all going to Auburn.
No, and I don't blame him.
And the one thing, let me say this, Tom. The one thing I like about it, what you just said, he's giving money to HBCUs, that girls' high school down in New Orleans that was on 60 Minutes. So he does a lot from a philanthropic standpoint, okay? And he has given money to Auburn. Right. But on the flip side, what does Auburn do for the minority community?
Right.
What does Auburn do for the rural people? Okay? Answer that question. So his money going into Auburn is not going out to the same people that he can give it to directly.
Exactly.
So I'm down with CB for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he said he wasn't going to go into, I forget which word he used, something about the sloppiness or messiness or whatever of college sports these days.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why Michaela said she wanted to get out of coaching. She said it's sleazy now.
Yeah, it really. Michael's daughter, Michaela.
She said she wanted to get out of it because it's sleazy now.
Yeah.
She's right.
It's different, man. It's very,
is.
very different. And somebody told me that the guy at Auburn who would do the dumb thing, who elbowed the man in the back of the head and stuff.
Oh, Baker Mazzara. Yeah.
Like $8 million?
He's going to USC. They gave him $8 million to go to USC?
I don't know. Don't quote me.
I haven't seen it. I know he's signed with USC, so he's going there. But I haven't seen what his NIL deal is worth. But
I don't know. I just know. I think Auburn was giving him around $2 million or something like that. Or,
I think it was a little over $1 million. He agreed.
And then when they signed this new guy to come in, he got mad because the new guy had more money than him.
Yes.
And so he wanted to try to renegotiate.
I probably was wrong.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know. I know he signed with USC, so I don't know how much he got. I just knew Auburn would not give him any more than what he just signed during the playoffs. The college playoffs, and then when this new guy comes in, the freshman gets signed for more money. He wants more money, and they were like, "No, you just signed. A couple of weeks ago, you just signed. We're not giving you any more."
I think I read this morning where the University of Alabama football team as a whole had over a 3-point average in terms of their grades. this year under the new coach. Now, I don't know
That's
what it was under Mercedes Nick, but I do know that they all did well under this new coach.
That's right.
Who said that his job is not just to win football games, but to make sure those guys got educated.
Right.
And I agree with him on that.
And that's why I've always been such a big Coach Prime, because he's not just preparing those guys for playing football. He's preparing them for life. You know, he talks about how, 90% of them are not going to, or over 90% of them are not going to make the pros after they leave college. They got to go into the real world and work. So he's preparing them for life in general, how to treat their families, how to prepare and provide for their families. And so I've always been such a fan of Coach Sanders because of that. And some of these coaches don't care. All they want is to win a game, and that's it. And if the players get their education, it's okay. If they don't, then they're not pushing it. So
I agree with you, because I think it's different. Well, I know it's different now, because if a kid transfer, you got to transfer somewhere where your credits are accepted at the new school. And so does it make it more difficult now to graduate within a certain period of time? One of the reasons you stayed at a school was so that you could move through the progression, and graduate in 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And I just hope that they're taking care of their education.
I hope so.
That schools are taking care of their education as well.
I certainly hope so.
That's funny, Tom. You said graduate in 4 or 5 years. I didn't know until I got to Auburn you could graduate in 5 years, because my grandparents told me, you going to Auburn, you're going to graduate in 4 years. It's not going to take you more. That's what it takes is 4 years. So I went over there thinking I had 4 years to get in and get out.
I'm like you, Michael. I didn't even think about anything beyond 4. Because my parents told us up front, we will help you with 4 years, and that is it. After that, you're on my own.
We had some of them that graduated in 6 or 7 years. We said they got out on good behavior. They just let you out, man. They just said, we tired of him.
And there was one person, I'm not going to call his name, but I heard he was there for about 20 years at Auburn.
Well, I know a couple who were there for 6 or 7.
Yeah. And that's so funny. In high school, I was walking down the hall, and our principal was talking to the other guy. I'm not going to say his name. He said, you going to graduate this year, or you going to make it a career?
What are you, a professional student?
Yeah.
There's a restaurant here that has, when you go in the men's restroom, has all these cartoons from the New Yorker and all that. And one of them is the guidance counselor talking to this kid. And he says, so what's it going to be, Jimmy? Is it going to be the Nobel Peace Prize or inspected by number 7? Which one you going for?
Oh, man.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Well, we want to say we appreciate you coming out from behind the shadows, Shawn, and letting everybody see you in live and in person and living color. And hopefully you'll be back.
I'll be back. I'm just getting started.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? No? All right. Well, we appreciate it, and thank you very much. It's been a great roundtable. All right. My closing comment for today, I want to go back to mental health and some of the themes for mental health. In 2019, the For Mind, For Body theme was chosen and expanded on with a new set of resources that are best characterized as essential parts of everyone's recovery toolkit. In 2018, the 2018 theme was Fitness, For Mind, For Body. It tracks closely with the Fit for the Future theme of the June 2008 conference. During the month of May, it focused on what individuals can do to be fit for their own futures, no matter where they happen to be on personal journeys in health and wellness. I think the focus on mental health has been good. It's been good for college students. It's been an issue in colleges that was probably ignored when I came along, and is now they're shining the light on it and is giving attention to it. And hopefully that'll continue. And those that are suffering from mental problems will get the attention that they need. So that's our show for today. We appreciate you. We want to thank the audience. We want to thank the Roundtable, and thank Shawn for coming out of the shadows and joining us on the Roundtable. Well, thanks again to the total TWT team, Barbara, Shawn, Emily, Mychal, and Joyce. And that's it for this May 13th in the year 2025. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Blessings and peace.